Oh my goodness. Hi. Hi, everybody. This is Elena of the Holy Witch, formerly the Witch's Box, and it's been a little while since we had a live. Oh my goodness. I see that a couple people are already here, so hello. I'm not even ready actually. The time kind of creeped up on me. Hold on one second. Let me give a little light to the situation. Miss Juanita, hello. Denise, hello. There was a Fidel here earlier. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hi. um, how am I feeling? I'm really tired. So last night I was up. I was telling the team earlier in our meeting today that there are a lot of just little website tweaks and things. You know, when you do something like this that's so huge, there's a lot of back end that is required. And I was up until after midnight last night, so I'm worn out. Your girl is in bed by 8:30. I read a little bit and then I just cascade into sleep, and it's glorious. And to have been up until midnight was a lot. So I'm not at 100%. I'm excited at 100%, but my body's like not at 100%. Hi G, hi Tori, Michelle, TJ, Kathy, Emily's here, woohoo! Deandra, hello. I'm so happy to see everybody. So exciting. All right. So we're here to talk about Lilith. We've been talking about Lilith for a while. But this is specifically about her as it relates to the two offerings that we have. We've got a one-day offering called Encountering Lilith that is happening on June 17th. It's a Saturday. It's a full day. But it is for two types of people. Maybe three, right? For those of you who are interested in Lilith, you really haven't worked with her, you're not sure, you want to learn more, you want to get your foot, like your toe dipped into the pool, great for you. Then there are those of you who are like, I know, I've been really wanting to work with Lilith, I've been called, but I'm not sure, I'm a little bit nervous. I know you're doing a coven, I want to do that, but I'm not sure that I'm ready. It's for you as well, because it gives you enough of a deep dive into her that you can then take that and work with her on your own if you don't feel ready to commit to the coven. Or it's enough to then tell you, absolutely, I'm totally in, and it can give you that like deciding factor. Yeah, so we've got that going on. And then the third group is for those of you, because we've already got a few of you who are absolutely in on the coven, but you're like, I can't get enough, I want to do this anyway, and you're doing it anyway. So I love that too. So the Encountering Lilith is for those two or those three types of people. And then we've got Coven of Lilith, which part of why we're doing this today is because today registration opens for Coven of Lilith, and I am so excited. I can't handle it. Okay, so I felt like a total nerd because last night, even though I was so exhausted, you know, you're wired, you're buzzing from like the excitement of a thing that you're putting out into the world. And so I was like I was hyper like storying on IG like a total weirdo, but there it is. I was so excited. In any case, registration is open. A lot of you have already signed up. I am just like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. But Coven of Lilith is a year and a day long commitment. It is a big commitment. And some people have been like telling me, you're like, you sound, Elena, like you're trying to scare people off. Kind of and not. I want you to be aware that it is a big commitment. And we're going to go deep. We're going to do a lot of shadow work. We're going to really work with her. And she is the goddess of many, many things. But really, I think at her core, the transformation that she delivers is extensive. It can be jarring. And so I don't want to scare you off, because if you're called, please be here with us to do this work. It's going to be amazing and special and life transforming. And I want you to come in eyes wide open. So today registration opens, and this is why I wanted to do this here, because I know that there are a lot of questions, so we can just get it out on the table and talk about all of those things. Both offerings are now open. The registration for Coven of Lilith is a long open registration period because it's going to take some time for people to make decisions, but also it's costly. It's not cheap. It's what it is. And I know that's going to take some of you time to kind of keep gathering those pennies, and that's great. I'm going to send you some money magic for that. And the reason why I did not break up the payment for the year into multiple payments is this. This is a sacred, holy container. And the way we show up to this container really delivers a particular type of experience. I don't want people coming in and out of this container because they can't afford to pay it halfway through. You are showing up not just for you, you're showing up for the coven that you're going to be working with. That is some huge responsibility. You need to show up fully for yourself and for your group. And this payment model creates that container. Once you're in, you're in. And now all you need to do is keep showing up. So we did that. And I'm going to answer the last question that I've got like on my little mental list, and then I'm going to go to what's happening in the comment box. There were, I think, 3 or 4 requests, several requests for, it's not layaway, but it's kind of like a layaway where you pay now, you buy now, you pay later options. And there are all sorts of names for this, but the one that's probably the most commonly known is Klarna, where you buy the thing. I get paid. What's happening now? Don't flash at me, YouTube. You pay me full amount, and then you pay Klarna whatever payment agreement you come up with them. They have several different options. I'm going to be really transparent here. There's several different of these companies or options that will provide payment options for people. Klarna is the best. The only thing that it's the best at is that it offers this service to many, many more countries than just Canada, United States, and Mexico. And most of them just stick to those 3, or US, Canada, and one offers to Switzerland. Like most of them are just 3 different countries. This one offers a much broader option for people out in the European countries. And I also think Australia and New Zealand. Klarna would be the choice to go with, and we're trying to get this to work. But here's what I'm going to just put it on the table. I had never used any of these before. And so I thought, if I'm going to offer it, I need to know what this process is like. So I went out to buy a thing. It's like $80 some odd dollars. And I pressed the button, but I had never used it before. So I had to go through the whole application process. To say that it was probably the shittiest customer service experience of my like adult experience life is kind of an understatement. Deeply disappointed in them. I never got to do it. I was not necessarily rejected, but I was, and I don't want to make this a rant, but it was basically that they couldn't verify who I was despite having my social security, despite having access to my bank accounts, despite the fact that my bank account had the money for the product, despite the fact that, and this is like not even a humble brag, this is a serious brag, because at this point in my adult life, I have worked my ass off for having what is probably one of the better credit scores in the fucking world. Yes, I worked hard, decades, all of that, and they couldn't verify me. I talked to 3 different customer service people. They couldn't get it together. They couldn't. In the end, I never got a response as to why they never like gave me an account. I wasn't able to buy what I was going to buy on Klarna. I mean, I bought it because I had the money, but it was like the whole point was the process. All that to say, I hated it. It was horrendous. No one knew what they were doing. I'm loath to offer this to people. However, I know that some of you have used this service and want this service to be able to have access to the Coven. All that to say that we're still not offering it because even the connection process is a pain in the ass. So that's the update on that. I would say that another option for people is a credit card, but I know that that's not always an option. So I'm working on that. I'm not feeling good about it. I'm not feeling good about the success of this actually connecting well. Probably because it's colored by my already uncomfortable experience with the whole thing. So that is the questions that I have in the list in my head. Let me go to see what is happening here. Oh my gosh, Layla, hello, Anna, Winter, sensationally social with Beth. Oh my God, that's such a great name. Who else is here? Amanda, hello. I've skipped around. I think I said hello to Kathy, but maybe I didn't. Okay, so hi, let me see. Are there any questions, any thoughts? Yes, thank you, Emily. Hit the like button, hit the subscription button, hit the bells, hit all the like YouTube-y things that, that we do. I love Emily. I love all of your emojis. We got a snake, we got an apple. I love it. And no, I knew it was a snake, even though it kind of does look like a duck. Okay, what time of the day or night will the Coven of Lilith meet? Okay, this is a great question, G. Right now, I'm trying to remember specifics. There, don't quote me on this, although someone can look at the website and see. If I'm not mistaken, I think that I have it scheduled for the third Saturday of every month. There is a live that is group wide at 10 a.m., which means that it would be, no, is that true? I could be wrong. It's 10 a.m. here, which means that it's around, what is it, 6-ish in England, and then evening in the rest of Europe. Okay. Then there's another one during the week that, for the life of me now, I can't remember, during the week, where it's once a month, where I'm going to do like a kind of like an open office hour to hang out. And if you have questions about organizing your coven and group work and things like that, I'm just going to be available. Both of these things are always going to be available on replay in the module that you'll have access to. I'm sorry, I have an itch. Then, because we're doing coven work and because I want to be in on all the juicy things too, I thought I would also hold, you don't have to be here for it, but I'm just going to offer myself live, maybe late evening my time, to help for people who are in the Southern Hemisphere once or twice a month. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to hang out with me, but the ones when we're going to be doing ritual will in general be on Saturday, because I figured that if it doesn't fully work for everyone, because it would be very, very late for those of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere, then at the very least it's a Saturday, so that if you have to stay up late and you got to wake up late the next day, it's a little easier to manage. Now, that's with me. Together as a whole group, everybody, we will be ritualing together, we will be talking lessons together, and we will be talking Q&A and group management, even though it's more exciting than what I'm making it sound, together. Now, all of you in the coven will be assigned to a group. There will be smaller groups of 10, and that is going to be the coven that you're going to be working with for the entire year. You're going to be working with me, I'm going to be working with you, we're going to be working together, but you're going to have a group. My ideal here is that as a group, you communicate with each other in your own personal forum for specific things. I'm going to give you an outline of what work you're doing together. And then between the 10 of you, you decide when you're going to meet together at a time that works with everyone. We were having a conversation with the team this morning in terms of how to pick those groups, and some kind of fun divinatory issue or practice where I kind of pull you all in a bowl and see who wants to be together. I can do that. But then what I think I'm also going to do is that once I have the preliminary idea of which each group of 10 is going to be, or who's going to be in each group of 10, then maybe looking at everyone's location to kind of group you together in similar time zones as much as possible, so that then that work can be easier for all of you in terms of finding a time to meet together. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to keep looking. Sorry. The allergies. And it's like, it doesn't help that I put my face in a whole bundle of lilac flowers and just inhaled like I had never inhaled before. And now, oh, okay. I answered that question. Emily is being wonderful and putting all sorts of links up so you can catch those things. Oh, this is a good question, Juanita. Excuse me, hold on. I'm all over the place. I also want to say how exciting it is to be here live with you all. I haven't been live in a hot minute, so okay. Belly Diva, who I call Juanita, is asking, I'm scared to fail. Lilith told me that's why I need to do it. Oh, beautiful. Okay. That's why you need to do it, girl. Failure. I'm probably going to say this throughout my life for all of us, because I've certainly used that word for myself as well. There's no such thing. We show up as we can. It's all process. And when we struggle, I'm going to highly encourage all of us to then reach out to each other and say, I am struggling. I'm struggling to show up. I'm struggling to do this work. I want to avoid this work. This isn't fun. All the things. Communication moves energy. And boy, and that really applies to everything, right? And so in the context of the work that we're doing together, fear of failure is real, and it's process. It's us confronting parts of ourselves that are either in resistance or are afraid of something else that is behind that door. Yeah. It's also resistance because I don't want to do it. I don't want to go mucking around my shadow and have to deal with my grief or have to deal with my shame or have to deal with X, Y, and Z. So it's natural for this to come up. And throughout our time together, and I'm doing it now as well, the encouragement is show up and just speak the truth. I don't want to be here right now. I'm really struggling right now. I want to show up for everyone. I want to show up for myself, but I'm really afraid that I'm going to fail. And then we can hold you in that space. And then we can hold each other in that space. And if there's no answer, maybe the holding each other is what helps move us through. But the communication is important. So we're going to try to eradicate the word failure and then really honor and embrace the fact that we're all in process and we're all in growth and healing, and it's messy. And sometimes we just come up with all sorts of reasons to not do the work, or we can't show up, or something goes on, and it's a big deal. It can be a big deal, and we can support each other through it. So that's a great thing to bring up. Yes, we will go through it together. Deborah says, we can save money for next year. You can save money for next year because this will happen next year. So for sure. But I'm still going to try to work and get past my, like, this is the lamest process ever with Klarna and see what we can do. That's totally fine, Diamonds and Dogs. I love it, Melanie. You can hang out and listen all you want. And also, here's the thing. For those of you who are like, I really want to do Coven of Lilith, but I can't afford it, or this isn't the time, or this is going to be a big year for me, you've got the one-day class. And that will give you enough to like really jump in. So you'll have meatiness to work with. It won't be the deep dive of like, I don't know, at this point I was looking at the schedule, it's like 3 months of really deep shadow work. But it'll give you the portal through which to walk through to begin working with her. So you're not going to walk away with nothing if you do the one-day class. Hold on. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So Emily's posting times. Wonderful. GMT time, which is great for the lives. Hold on. I can't read this. Why can't I read this? So the first live of the Coven is July 15th, just to be clear. Bear Paw Shiloh says hello. Marie, hello. TJ says, I'll most likely do the one-day Lilith, but only because of money being tight. I will join next year's first year Coven after this one finishes up. Beautiful. Gypsy says, is the teaching information in video or writing format? Both. I will be doing a lot of video teaching. It's going to be actually 3 ways. It's going to be video teaching that's recorded. It's going to be written content. And it's also going to be live. I'm just going to be talking, hanging out live and doing lessons that way. Some of those lessons really need to be done live simply because of the nature of the information and the necessity for processing in real time. There will also be downloadable like Book of Shadow pages as well. Yes, Grace. Communication moves energy for sure. Diamonds and Dog says, or Melanie, I always read the first and then Melanie says, how much experience do we need before we do this program? How long should we be practicing before doing something like this? That's a really good question. I'm thinking. I would like for you to have had some experience with therapy or some experience with moving through some hardship, some emotional hardship. This isn't even about witchcraft, but this is what I would like. I would like for you to come to the table understanding that when you're going through something really difficult, that there are things that you can do to comfort yourself while you're going through it. In terms of magical practice, I'd like for you to have some understanding of what a practice is, have had done at least a ritual. You don't need to come to the table with some huge magical experience, because we're going to be working and doing those things together, and you're going to learn why you do them. Yeah. I'm going to give instruction on all of those things. I'm going to give pretty detailed instruction on each of the rituals and why we're doing the rituals. So you're going to learn it as you do. I am more interested right now in things like when you're going through a process emotionally or psychologically that brings up grief or that brings up a lot of uncomfortable feelings, do you or have you in the past created support for yourself so that you can tend to your day-to-day life while still processing through that emotional process that you're going through? Yeah. That is where I think my emphasis is more focused, because the rest you're going to learn. One of the things about Lilith and this process and this coven in particular is that we're going to be really focusing a lot on, which is where most of the destabilization comes from, the way we understand reality and the way we understand ourselves in this reality. And then because of you're being provided with a very different worldview on how to see your place in the world, that shakeup both helps heal things that are wounded and you don't know about in yourself, but also gives us a really particular opportunity and advantage in creating particular types of magic for ourselves. Does that make sense? You're going to be learning as you go, but the bigger part of it is this is a lot of healing. This is a lot of self-facing. This is a lot of, oh, I thought my place in the world, unconsciously, I thought my place in the world was this, but it's actually something very different. And so it's very much an internal process. And then it's very much gearing up for meeting a force of nature, an entity that will tap you into a way of moving energy magically in a way that's going to help move the world, your world. Yeah. So in terms of beginner, obviously you're here, you're having a conversation with us. Know what a witch is. Understand that witches do magic. Understand that there are deities that we work with. Understand that deities have particular energy signatures that then we, through our work with them, take on. And that changes and touches us in a really particular way. Beyond that, you're great. Yeah? Okay. Hold on. The one-day class is called Encountering Lilith, and that's $117 US. And it runs between, the start time is 10 a.m. The end time is 4 p.m. And I'm going to say that that's a little loose depending on how much we process and how much we don't. Maybe a little bit later, but it'll end around 4-ish or in the early evening. All of it will happen on Zoom. And it'll be recorded so you can catch the replay. Pamela says, Lilith, Anubis, and Hecate have been coming up for me for years. I'm on a fixed income, so the money magic sent my way would be appreciated. Wonderful. I want it and will aim for next year. Beautiful. TJ says, was hoping to start this year, though, as I'm turning 50. Oh, it's a good year. On the 23rd. Happy birthday. And like a milestone marker in my life, especially as Lilith has been in my face a lot since the beginning of the year. Let me tell you about 50 and Lilith. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. Yeah, that's a common thing. I think that this is, this age is a rite of passage of sorts. And she operates in those spaces. Deep pivots, deep transformation, a lot of self-assessment, and how are you going to move in the world now in this part of your life? It's a really big question that she brings to the table. But happy early birthday. Emma says, do you have any advice on how to connect to Lilith to see if she's calling us to do this? Not one that you're going to like, which is, do you just feel a curiosity? Do you feel like oh, there's something there? Or do you feel like, oh, Lilith, cool, who knew? You know yourself. And you know when there's that little, there's a little tug, that's interesting. What's going on over there? If that's happening, then follow that. because desire is just as valid as the call. Because sometimes the desire and the curiosity is the call. Does that make sense? So check in. See what that is for you. If it's because, oh my gosh, Elena's doing a live and I'm here, but I've never even thought about Lilith, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? But if there's like a little like, oh, what are they doing? What's happening? What's going on? What does Lilith do? Follow that. See what happens. Thank you, Awaken Grace. A spark, yes. Okay, I'm gonna drink a little bit of something. For those of you taking Encountering, a lot of you have been asking for this. It's finally coming together, so it's coming. For those of you who have been asking about this, both Encountering, oh my goodness, Encountering Lilith and Coven of Lilith will get the long list of book resources to read on Lilith. I have been super resistant about saying these are the top 3 because I think a couple, I don't know, maybe several lives ago, a year and a half ago or something, I got a very clear message from her that it's like, read all of them because she's encoded in bullshit stories. This is part of her work. She has had centuries of projections put on her, and her magic, her energy stream is underneath all that. And so you're going to read books where it's like you get glimmers of her here and there, and then you get long, broad strokes of projection about her. Even the books by witches who recognize that she's got a lot of stuff heaped on her. There's still those overlaying stories that people still work with in modern day witchcraft because it's so much a part of her. One of the first things that I have, because we have a 6-week lead up before the coven actually begins. And so already today we've had quite a few of you sign up for the coven. And now you've got 6 weeks to be like, okay, I'm going to twiddle my thumbs. So I have an assignment for all of you. It's a simple, kind of odd assignment in the forum so that you can do something right in this interim period while you wait. And that exercise is very much about, can you determine by looking at her like countless iconography, because she's one of the very few deities who doesn't have a consistent iconography because of how many different stories are out there about her and how many different ways there are to depict her. And so one of the things that's so characteristic about working with her is the like mining for those jewels, for those true gems of her underneath the noise. She's got a lot of noise over her. So I say that. Why was I saying that? Someone said. Hold on. Oh, I say that because in terms of the reading list, even though so much of like the books that I've read, there have been different types of books, even the ones who have really done a lot of work with her and have tapped into like the purity of who she really is, there's still noise, like threads of noise still covering the full vision of who she is. And so all that to say that I'm not going to fully say these are the 5 books that you have to read and then these are the 40 that are out there. Although there may be the ones that I really like the most up at the top. In any case, people who are doing Encountering Lilith are going to get that list. People who are doing the Coven of Lilith are going to get that list. And then I am going to finally start doing booktube reviews again, and those books will get reviewed and you can make choices for yourself, because I'm not going to expect all of you to buy like 30, 40 books. The amount of books I have now on Lilith are out of control. Lilith and Eve. We're going to be doing a lot of work with Eve. That's a whole thing. Wait, let me read this and then I'm going to say something about someone. Not about someone, but about something that someone said. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Yeah. TJ, certainly I don't hold the corner market on what it is to be 50. I am now 51. I'll be turning 52 in October. went back to therapy. I also started working with Lilith at 50. And so I think I said this before, that working with her is to really understand that you're going to be disrupted. I am super disrupted. I am living day by day completely and utterly disrupted. The ground beneath me is crumbling. And I don't say that as a way to say that I'm not in crisis, but this shit can get hard. And there's a lot of self-facing, but I think that what's really exciting is that when you're doing it at this age, there is an element of, number one, I've got nothing to lose at this point. I do, but nothing that's going to hold me back in the ways that I thought that they would when I was like 20 or 30. There is that added bravado of fuck it that you get when you're in this age, where it's like, where, you know, the noise of what people might think, it's not really anywhere near as loud as it ever used to be. Those things, right? You lose those things. And so this kind of work where it's like, let what doesn't serve just fall apart and fall to the wayside, there's an easier path of commitment to that despite the work. And forgive me, I don't remember who it was that asked about how much experience you need to have to do this work. This is what I mean by, I want you to have had some experience with either therapy or supporting yourself through a transformational process. I am functioning. I'm here. I'm doing this work. And also I'm sleeping more. I'm making spaces in my schedule for like downtime because I need to do that work as well. Like I'm creating patterns for myself to fall apart, to feel the feels, to do the rituals that I need to do the journaling that I need to do, to see a therapist once a week, right? Because this is how I support myself while going through these really intense transformations and still showing up for my life. I've had to change my schedule a little bit. I'm doing less in some areas and more in another. But what I want is people who have the experience of, I know that I'm falling apart, but I'm not destabilized in a way that keeps me from moving through my daily life, right? I'm more interested in that capacity because it will get messy. We're moving into messy territory. Okay. Wait, hold on. I lost my place in all of this chat. Hold on. Okay, I read that. Yeah, Emily's saying it was funny, wasn't it? Lilith was just coming up everywhere. I mean, it's been amazing. Like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I feel like it's almost 2 years now, right? Because we've been talking. She's just been coming up so much. Lilith was showing up for so many people, and randomly I'd speak to people also experiencing the same. When will enrollment close? You have 6 weeks for enrollment to close. It closes July 14th for Coven of Lilith. Enrollment for Encountering Lilith. I need to look at my calendar. Hold on. Enrollment for Encountering Lilith is the 16th of June, so in 2 weeks. I feel like I have, this is like second day hair, so I'm a little dirty. All right. Yes. Kara, there will be another opportunity for a year and a day with Lilith next year, for sure. So the way this works is that right now, people who are signing up for this year, they're like, I need to come up with a cooler name, but they're basically cohort 2023. And the idea here is that this group will go through the whole year. At the end of the year, there's an initiation. And then they each have a choice. Do you want to keep going, or are you complete? Because you can be complete at that end of the year. And for those who want to go into second year and third year, we'll stay together as much as whoever continues will continue to work together in the second year and the third year if they continue to move into that space. So then next year, that'll be cohort 2024. I got to come up with a better name. but this is the way I organize it. And then they will have their own process so that you have an opportunity to work with the same group of witches in one form or another for the long haul, and creating it's both for me about having this deeply enriching experience with Lilith, but also the deeply enriching experience that happens when you work with a coven of witches. There's an intimacy there that happens. There's a power that happens there. It's, yes, be friends, absolutely. A lot of you have started to become friends, which I think is beautiful, but you're friends. And then when you start to work together with a group of witches towards an aim, towards creating magic, towards understanding how you pool your power together to do things with each other and for each other, that level of intimacy and it's its own path. It's its own transformative journey. So you're almost having two journeys at once. And I wanted to provide that for all of you because so many of us don't have access to that. So this is another opportunity to really take those relationships deeper. So like that. Oh, so like that. So if you join next year, then you would be part of that group that has the potential for growing together for about 3 years if you wanted to. This is a brand new coven. All of it is launching and starting July 15th. Emily says, here's one that shows I am ready. I am no longer heartbroken over people who are cruel and treat me badly because I am concretizing the knowing wholly that they are not my people nor worth my energy. Boom. That's total Lilith lesson right there. When it just doesn't even come up on your radar anymore. You know what I mean? We go through phases where like, I don't want this to matter to me. This shouldn't matter to me. I'm not in what they're saying. I'm not in what they're doing. But you still feel it. It still sticks with you. It's still like this nagging thing. Over time, you don't really pay as much attention, but it's still, hold on. My lights are always acting up. It still takes up some space in your head, even though you make decisions that are not necessarily based on whether they're going to like you or not, or whether you're going to be able to make it better with them or not. You will eventually get to a place where it doesn't even register. Who? I don't even know who those people are. Literally, and not in a snarky way, but in an honest way where you're just in your lane in your life, and that doesn't even come into your radar. It's one of the things that we talked about for those of you who are at School of Holy Witchery. We cover it, oh God. We cover it in module 2, the protection magic module, right? Where you do certain things to help you move in that direction so that eventually that it's the same theory, that negative energy or that obstructive force being thrown in your way doesn't actually even touch you. You're not even aware that it happened, but because you've been doing certain work, internal work for so long, it doesn't register. It used to, but now it doesn't because you've kind of prepared yourself. You've built yourself up. It applies to so many things, but I love that. That's definitely one of those lessons that she delivers. Amanda says, I ordered 2 boxes from you and never got them. You said you would check into the situation. I was wondering. I have no idea. Amanda Widger. I'm gonna hold on. I'm writing things down. Because at this point, I know that there were a couple of emails. And then there were a couple of you whose boxes were just lost. You need to check in with your post office, your local post office, or your local UPS office with the tracking number and saying, hey, what? And then file a claim. Hold on, Amanda. Oh, wait, your name. Where did your name go? Here we go, Witcher. Amanda, is that the name that I know you by? Like, is that the name that you've registered with? Just, you can give me a yes or no because the Widger does not sound familiar to me, so I don't know that I've seen that email. I know, I don't want to call you out, but someone out there with the name that starts with the D sent an email earlier today that I haven't responded to because I've been preparing for this. And that was a question about a box as well. So Amanda, I'll check into your account to see. But let me know in the comments if Amanda Widger is the name that I would know you by. Like, that's your account name. because a lot of you witches uh have 3, 4, 5 names, and then it's like I can't track who's who. Okay. It still hurts and it feels like it will forever. It won't. It won't. Part of that has to do with that wounded part of ourselves that really is longing for the love and the acceptance. And then at some point we begin to recognize that it only makes sense to want the love and acceptance from the places that have the worthiness to deliver it. You know what I mean? It's a long road. It's a long road. Lady Aya says, I was recently bullied from a local coven group and they dark triaded. I don't know what that means. Dark triaded me in circles. So I started my own non-denominational, all-inclusive, no gatekeeping community. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm sorry that happened to you, but it's beautiful that you were able to be empowered to create your own thing. Because that's, yeah, beautiful. Yes, the layers and the cumulative effect of the protection work, yes. Salacia, I love that name. Neptuni. Hello, super happy to be here. I'm super happy that you're here too. I'm gonna take a drink. What time is it? Oh, okay, we're doing good. I know what I was gonna share. Someone mentioned it and it triggered a memory and now it came back. One of you amazing women, on, I think it was IG, I wrote a whole thing about this after, it was amazing, said, I'm a daughter of Lilith, not a daughter of Eve. And I didn't respond because I tried not to respond to anything on social media so that I can keep myself focused, but sometimes I get excited. We're going to be talking a lot about Eve. There is absolutely no way to dive into Lilith without touching on the significance of Eve. There's an email going out about this where I go into pretty big depth around this relationship, because even though Lilith is bigger than the Garden of Eden story, she shows up before this, right? There is evidence of stories that make reference to Lilith before the Garden of Eden story made it on the scene. However, this is a myth that has touched every single one of us, even if we weren't raised in a religious household. There is no way to get around this origin story. And this origin story holds code for who we are as people, how we behave as people, what role a man has, what role a woman has, all of these things, what role God has, and our relationship to that. And so in the Bible, Lilith doesn't even make it in the Bible, right? She's not in the Bible, but there's Talmudic stories about her. And basically, she rebelled because it wasn't a system that she fit into. And she pieced out and she left. Now, it's written that she was cast out, but she was cast out after she left. So it was one of those things where I remember a million years ago, I went to a dance club with friends and a guy kept asking me to dance and I kept saying, I'm not interested. No, thank you. No, thank you. And then he got so frustrated and pissed off at the rejection. He had no emotional intelligence whatsoever and said, I didn't like you anyway, right? I'm sure we've all had versions of this in our lives from various different crowds of people. And that's kind of what it feels like. You walked away from us, we're rejecting you, we're casting you out. It's like she was already gone. There was no need to cast her out, right? She leaves and she's erased from the book of life. Her name is, but not really, because we still know about her. And rather than make, this is part of the story, rather than make another helpmate for Adam from the same place that Adam was made, which was of the earth, they made Eve from his rib. They made Eve from her. Just that detail alone speaks volumes about culturally how we dance and behave in the world of men and women. Again, the fact that no other gender is mentioned here is also code for place and value, right? Culturally. But Eve was supposed to be the good wife, the subservient one, the helpmate, the one who was there to serve. And she's the one who was also told, you can do anything in this beautiful place that I have set up for you, but this one tree, you can't have this fruit. The tree of knowledge, you can't have knowledge, because if you have knowledge, and here's the gaslighting, If you have the knowledge, surely suffering will follow. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And let's just project a little bit and say that somewhere deep down inside, Eve was like, how could knowledge really create suffering? In this story, she's curious. She goes to the tree. The snake, which sometimes is depicted as Satan or sometimes is depicted as actually Lilith, tempts her and says, you want it, it's so beautiful, it's so juicy, why can't you have it, it's so blah blah blah, why blah blah blah. So she takes the apple and she eats the apple. And then Adam comes around and is like, what did you do? And she's like, it's really delicious, you want it, and he has it. Now, Eve is blamed for the fall of man, even though Adam had his own sovereignty. He could have said no at any time, but that's a whole other story for the day. In this story, there is a world and a version of it in which both the tree, the apple, and the snake are all Lilith, just like Eve is Lilith. And that Lilith is a part of us that is conscious, that is aware, that is still tapped into the truth of existence and the truth of life. And Eve is that part of us that has to go to sleep, that has to go unconscious, that has to numb ourselves with the 5 gajillion things that we can be addicted to in order to fit into a system that is not right? That is counter to nature. Eve is all of us. Eve is that part of us. How many parts of your life right now are you in denial around in order to just fucking make it through the day? In order to deal with that family member, in order to deal with all of the nonsense that goes on at work, in order to like just pretend that somehow the world isn't burning to the ground around us. Do you know what I'm saying? Eve is that part of us, and that process of taking the apple and biting the apple is that choice that we make over and over again to heal. It's that choice that we make to come back into the truth and come back into our power. And the voice of the snake, which is that part, that deep inner part. I mean, the snake is the kundalini. The snake is the life force, because there are other symbology systems out there that speak to this. That inner voice that has you here today, that inner voice that had you turning to witchcraft even though you were raised as a Catholic or as a Christian or something else. That's the Lilith. That's who is inside of us. That is that part of us that is still miraculously, despite all of the trauma, despite all of the generations of nonsense that the patriarchy has heaped on everyone of every gender, it is that part of us that's still tapped into the truth of what our souls really are. Way bigger, way freer, and way more powerful. So to say, and this isn't about chastising, but to say, I'm a daughter of Lilith and not of Eve, I would say we're all of them. We're both and more. And the patriarchal lie is that we need to pit these women against each other as if one is better than the other. That's a lie too. It's just different portions of our, or different stations in our process. And because nothing is super linear, at any given time, we're both in different ways. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox and see what's happening in the thing. I don't know what, I'm going to not say that out loud in case she answered the question somewhere down below. Yeah, because I don't know what dark triad means. The dark triad is a phrase you're unlikely to have heard. It refers to 3 distinct but related personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. And thank you. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. Is this a women's only coven? So encountering Lilith is for all genders, and the coven is for women only. Lady Aya says, Lilith is one of my main goddesses. I relate to being demonized throughout my life and being a boss witch. Yeah, there you go. Anna says, hello, how can I join the coven? Emily, when you have a chance, can you please post a link to Coven of Lilith so that Gypsy can check it out? No, it's not Gypsy. So that Anna can check it out. Gypsy says, I have always told myself other women don't like me. The thought of working with others is difficult, and I know there is medicine in it for me. Absolutely. And this is part of, we will dive pretty deeply into patriarchy when it comes to talking about Lilith. And there was a lot of question. We put a little like a reel out there where I talk about how the patriarchy loves a good compartmentalization. So we've got we hear about Lilith the demon, we hear about Lilith the goddess. She's one person, but there's this need still to compartmentalize the shadow from the light side, the good from the bad, the Madonna from the whore. When women are pitted against each other, we are less powerful. This is part of the reason why it was a hard choice to make around making this an all women's coven, because we've got some amazing multi-gendered witches out there who have been part of our journey from day one. But this story speaks very specifically to what is going on in modern days and what has been going on with our bodies from day one. And it's a conversation and deep questioning that really requires a safe space. And one of the things that we'll talk about is this: we are afraid of women because we have been told unconsciously in one way or another that we are in competition with one another for the thing that is most valuable, for the thing that is most protective, which is men. And it's not as simple as to say, well, you know, I could be a lesbian and not have a care in the world for what men do or don't do, but I'm still performing into a male gaze that holds power over me, over my money, over my medicine, over my government, right? And so to the extent that I can gain favor at your expense, I'm better off. There is this underlying, deeply dysfunctional and deeply wounding and deeply divisive dynamic that is just part of ourselves now. This has been going on for centuries. And so, yes, I would say to you, it's going to be difficult, but moving towards an environment and an experience where you find yourself in vulnerable circles with other women is life-changing in what it can heal. It is what saved my life. Not gonna lie, it was one of those things where I discovered it thankfully early on, and it is a power source and a support source and a crucible for deep transformation unlike anything else. And that's not to say, because I know that there are quite a few of you who have joined women's circles and been hurt, that's not to say that you are going to be immune to that hurt, because we are still dealing with our internalized misogyny. We're still acting out this distrust. We're still acting out this, like, you know, these dysfunctional behaviors that are just in ourselves. And yet still I recommend it. And yet still I say, take the risk, because it provides you with a mirror unlike anything else. And it provides you with the support. If you go through life without connections that mirror what is most like you, you're missing out on something really deep and beautiful. There you go. Hold on. I gotta figure out where I'm at. I read that. Lady Aya says, the Devil Tarot card, the temptation of physical life. Yes. Emily says, the people-pleasing and subservience is a way Eve has shown up since I was little. Absolutely. I mean, this is who we're supposed to be, right? The amount of, we'll talk about this too, the amount of fawning that women do every single day to navigate through life in a way that feels remotely safe, it's all unconscious. The amount of energy that you expend every single day to stay safe in an environment where you're not is staggering. It's staggering. And there's codes to this in that story. This is why it's so important to spend time unraveling this. We won't really unravel this in encountering Lilith. We will absolutely spend a lot of time in it with Coven of Lilith. And so what I want to say to that is this. It's not like we're going to go and spend a whole lot of time in this really hard to deal with stuff before we get to the goods. I'm going to layer all of it, a little bit of it all at once throughout, so that there's balance and there's support and there is opportunity for fresh air, because we will hit on heavy stuff. Anger will come up, a lot of anger. So I'm trying to balance it in such a way where it's not like, let's just really be deep and heavy and heavy and heavy for months and months and months, and then, oh, here's a fun thing. They'll all be woven together, so you have some lightness in there. TJ says, wait, hold on. I feel like this is an answer to a question that I'm not seeing. TJ says, actually, only a couple that I bite my tongue sometimes with, but I usually don't hold my tongue too often. Always been either take me for who I am or be gone. I love that. Excuse me. And then she says, or they say, probably because of trauma I dealt with and decided to stay strong like my mom taught me to be beautiful. Emma says, P.S. I am in absolute awe of your hair. Oh, thank you. Very sweet. Silver goals. You're beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know I was combing my hair this morning. I'm like, damn, it's gotten long because Emily's posting all these reels and some of them are old. So I see images of me when my roots were just like up to here. Do you remember those days? Oh, those are horrible days where the roots were literally like here. So it was such a harsh line. And now I'm like, oh my God, it'll be 2 years in August since I've dyed my hair, which, you know, time goes by fast, but there it is. Thank you. It's become its own entity at this point is what it is. Deborah says skin color is also an issue. You mean in the oh, you mean in the patriarchy, the dynamic? Okay, that is a huge issue as well. We will touch on that. We'll touch on a lot of uncomfortable shit. Melanie says, but how do we feel about the fact that Eve chose to eat the fruit in spite of the mandate not to? I mean, how do we feel about that? There is a world in which I feel like it was always going to be inevitable. You can't pretend and hide in denial forever. There are some people who do, but there are ways in which that awareness that you're hiding from something like acts out. Like there's like these little psh, psh, pops of, not pops, it's almost like a pressure cooker, like little psh, psh, things that still leak out because how much can you contain? So I find that in that part of the story, it's like, of course she did. No logical thinking person would forever be in an environment or a state where it's like, I'm literally being told that there's something out there to know that's being kept from me. Of course I want to know. Why wouldn't I want the knowledge? And then on top of that, she has an actual real vital part of herself saying, girl, you need to take that apple. You need to know. You need to wake up. That's the message. You need to wake up. You're in a gilded castle that is just nothing but delusion. This is why I used to hate Eve, because it's like Eve has been made to be hated. Eve is the reason man fell. Eve is the reason why we live in suffering. Eve is the reason why women bleed. Eve is the reason why women suffer during childbirth. The amount of propaganda that she got is just as bad as the amount of propaganda that Lilith got. Lilith almost got away much easier because she was like cast out. The second time around, it was like, we're going to keep Eve around and we're going to use her as a cautionary tale. Fuck up and find out. You step out of line and you're going to be demonized. You stepped out of line and we're going to blame you for everything. You step out of line and it's going to be like hell to pay. How many of us have dealt with that? People who I don't even know. If you're a witch, how many of you have had to deal with ridicule and shame and ostracization for believing in a religion or a spirituality that isn't the traditional form? How many of you have had to come out of the closet to deep, horrific rejection and danger because it didn't fall into this traditional equation for what it's supposed to be? How many of us have dealt with that in various ways? You're in a family system. There's always that one kid who's the truth teller when everyone else is like, keep the lie, don't tell, don't say what Uncle so-and-so did, blah, 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 blah. And there's always that kid who cannot help themselves and has to tell the truth. What happens? They get ostracized. We play this out over and over and over again. These mythological stories are the blueprints for how we behave. So we can't ignore it. Even if we have never been raised in a family or an environment with any of these religions ever, we are affected by it by virtue of being in the Western world. And sadly, the Western world infects the rest of the planet. Even if it's, I don't know, come up with whatever country, that is like Hindu or Buddhist or something that is not part of this religious Abrahamic like structure, they're still affected by it in some way. It is embedded in our air, in our DNA. And so the unraveling of those, of that noise, of that meshy mess to get to those gems, those true gems underneath is part of the work. And it can be really destabilizing, because you start to realize, holy cow, it is not at all what I thought it was. I remember one of the books that I started reading in the very beginning of my path. It was a Mary Daly book. Anything by Mary Daly is going to just jack you up, number one. Number two, she has fallen out of popularity, although she was never popular because what she had to say was incredibly confronting. She's fallen out of popularity now because a lot of her wording doesn't fall into the politics that we believe in now. But if you want to have some confronting feminist reading, read anything by Mary Daly. It's dense, it's uncomfortable, and I will never forget in my life, I was on a lunch break sitting outside a cafe and I was reading a book, and I don't even remember what she said. I just remember what it felt like in my body. She said something that was she took a reversal and she dismantled it, and I read it, and I felt like it was such scandalous information that I literally stopped. I closed my book. I mean, I would have been more comfortable if I would have been caught looking at porn, basically, because I read it, I closed the book, and I literally remember looking over my shoulder to make sure that no one saw me read it. It was one of those things where reality was shaken, and I was like, holy cow. So let me give you an example of what I mean by a reversal. We see nature. Nature is constant and consistent. The way babies are made, the way babies come into the world, right? The way nature is born, lives, dies, regenerates, and comes back. We see these cycles in all of these things all the time. But a reversal is that God, a man, made life. That rather than a woman giving birth, a person came out of someone's rib. Like, there are these weird reversals that we're supposed to believe are real when they are completely and utterly counter to life, with a capital L, to the natural. This is why the patriarchy likes to compartmentalize, because it is about severing us from what is naturally seen, what is naturally part of the rhythm of life, the rhythm of life that we follow when we do our magic as witches. I'm going on a massive tangent. You know that I can talk about this for 80 hours. Okay, I'm going to reel myself in and see. Let me ask you this, because this is really about you and not me talking about all this. Really, what other burning questions as we begin to wind down do you have about encountering Lilith and Coven of Lilith? And then let me catch up with what's going on in the sidebar. Eve's path was also shitty and oppressed. Absolutely. Absolutely. She's just a tool for control. Her story is a tool for control. A lady Aya says, Santa's not real. I was that kid. I mean, right? Those kids are the ones that usher revolution. But you pay a price, especially as a kid who doesn't understand that, right? You pay a price. You get ostracized, or you get bullied, or it's nobody wants to hear the truth, and you're like out there with a megaphone going hello, and yeah, it's a horrible thing for a child to go through. Salacia says, I've always been bullied and have always been an outcast and an outsider. I was bullied in Catholic school and called a witch then. Oh, it was obvious, right? Well, they were right. Lilith helped me recognize my power. Beautiful. Melanie says, I can't hate Eve. I relate to her and admire her courage in an impossible life course. Absolutely. A Witchy Place says, I feel most stories of Lilith and Eve are very heavily influenced by the patriarchy, and so what's really true? Exactly. And that's what we're going to dive into. We have to uncover that. And she's ready to reveal that to us. She's ready for that to be known. She's been this whole time. And when you connect with her, you get it. You really begin to get it. And it's beautiful. But she's still very shrouded. And it's similar to me, and this is why she's also very frequently corresponded with the moon, because the moon is shrouded a lot. There's a lot of illusion in the way the moon moves. The moon is full, so we see her face, but then she moves away from us and she's dark, but she's still there. If you are living in a fairly light polluted environment, which most of us are, and you look into the sky and it's a dark sky, it's the moon is dark. If you look, you can still see the moon. The moon is just in the shadow. So there's this illusion to the moon where I'm gone, it's a dark moon, the moon is gone, but no, the moon is there, she's just shrouded. There's a mystery there, but there's a lot of alchemical, magical information to be had there. Lilith is very similar. I don't know that it's possible for all of this stuff shrouding in front of her to be gone, because something happens when you have to allow your intuition and your connection with her to guide you to the true gem underneath all that. And then when you tap in, it's like that's all you can see. It becomes so easy to see the illusion that's everywhere, and you become really adept at identifying the bullshit. There's something about that process that's so important and also intrinsic to working with her. You become much better at seeing with a capital S. It's why I think, this is my personal process with her, she's so deeply associated with the owl, because the owl can see. An owl hunts at night in a forest, and it's able to look down and find the food, find the thing that it's looking for, the teeny little mouse in the middle of all this darkness, right? It's the capacity to see with a capital S. There's just so many layers. It's incredible. I'm sorry, I keep losing my... Okay, I read that. Emily says, I was the kid away with the fairies believing in fairy tales. Glad to be honest. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, also, they think we won't connect the dots if they compartmentalize it all. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. One of my big examples of this is the American medical system. I can only speak to the American medical system because it's the one that I know. I know that this is going on in other countries, but it's like, if we're trying to quote unquote heal people, but I'm only going to look at your cardiac system. I'm only going to look at your teeth. I'm not looking at the whole body. I'm not looking at the whole system. I'm not looking at what influences have led to this illness and this disease. Is it emotional? Is it circumstantial? Is it your environment? No, I'm just looking at your heart. Forget about your endocrine system. Forget about your neurological. Forget about your emotional. Forget about your teeth. We compartmentalize, and in order to disempower, we need to compartmentalize. It's incredibly disempowering. It's incredibly lacking in its effectiveness, and it doesn't heal the core. It just heals the superficial. It's the most disconnected way of approaching the world that we've ever seen. It's one of the things that we're going to definitely cover both in the Coven of Lilith, and we cover very much in, I don't remember what module it is, in School of Holy Witchery, where we talk about biophilic and being biophilic, or biophilia, which is the love of life. And not in the superficial way, although yes, in the superficial way, like let's love life, but it's like understanding the movement of life and letting that be what informs us. There's so much information and wisdom in just the way life moves, and we are always disconnecting from it, in the way that we deal with our bodies, in the way that we deal with relationship, in the way that we deal with deities, in the way that we suss out through this patriarchal maze of bullshit. It's a lot. It's a lot. Lady Aya says, or that our moon tide is a curse when our cats, dogs, and all female animals bleed. Yes. Do we need to wear black? Belly Diva, do you mean like for ritual in general, or to work with Lilith? I'm gonna say I don't think so. Black, I love black, and in the moon ritual coven, I tell you all to like wear certain colors. Partly because color has energy, and we want to support the work that we're doing with energy. And when we're working with the dark moon, which we will work a lot with Lilith, black creates a vacuum, a pull, a magnetic pull, right, that we want to work with. But as a, like, let's say, oh, I'm a devotee of Lilith, I don't think that color is a necessity for that. No. That hasn't come through yet. Who knows what she might say, but she hasn't said anything like that to me. I'm hearing a strange noise. Okay, I don't know. My machinery is making weird noises. I have owls at my Baba Yaga retreat. Oh God, Baba Yaga retreat sounds amazing. Emma says, I have a fear of the small groups within the coven. Will there be leadership within the groups to make sure we are protected from each other and growing in a way that doesn't hurt each other? Yes, that would be me. So I'm the 11th member of each of the covens. And that is also why you're going to get a lot of instruction in terms of how to move and how to work together. I don't actually know right now in terms of percentages, like how much you're going to be alone with your group as opposed to with me or with a bigger group. But I'm the 11th. I'm the 11th in all of them because I'm greedy, but also to provide some facilitation and guidance for sure. It's not going to be a free-for-all where you're going to be on your own. You're going to have very specific structure around what you're doing together and why you're doing what you're doing together. Yeah. But that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Lady Aya says, I just survived cancer and all I am to them is a vagina. Like, hello, I'm a whole woman here. Beautiful. Well, congratulations on surviving. It's wonderful. And yeah, it doesn't make sense. And this is the thing you start to realize, holy shit, I have been colluding with, because we have to deal with our collusion. I have been colluding with all kinds of stuff that literally doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre. We're all asleep, like Eve, right? Until we bite the apple. Okay. And we have to bite the apple on various layers of our lives throughout our lives, right? It's not a one and done, unfortunately. But it's an essential part of the process. I think that the fact that all of you are here means that you've bitten some apple in your life. You know what I mean? You're welcome, TJ. For ritual. No, okay. So this is what I know right now, because I haven't actually thought that far in advance. Right now, there will be times when, yes, I will ask you to wear black. There are going to be times when I'm going to ask you to wear red. Or something on you that is red. Yeah. And then sometimes when it doesn't matter. It can be like an optional extra thing, but not a requirement. There will be a lot of flowers involved. I'm gonna riff. There'll be flowers involved. There'll be a lot of incense involved. There will be some intentional, regular altar tending to do. I'm gonna cry now. I'm just thinking of some of the rituals. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you, because it's just, and I can't even honestly take credit for a majority of it. It's all her. And as things kept pouring out, I was like, oh my god, okay, we're gonna do that. So yeah, so I've just been like an emotional, giddy, ridiculous girl with the whole thing. I'm gonna post this in this is really for the Coven of Lilith folks. I may still throw it into Encountering Lilith, but I will post this on both forums. If you were not subscribed, oh, these are super dirty, holy cow. If you were not subscribed to the Witches box when I sent out the Lilith box, I don't have them here with me, I have them at home, and you did not get the Lilith sigil plate or the Dark Moon Lilith talisman, I will be asking for sure the people in Coven of Lilith will be using it. I may throw it, yeah, I'm going to make the decision now. I'll add that ritual to the Encountering Lilith folks. If you don't have that, if you didn't get that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can get a version. You can get one. You can buy one from Laura Ellison at Your Sacred Life on Instagram. She prefers to be DM'd on Instagram. Emily, do you mind posting a link to Laura's Instagram account so that if any of you want those things, again, I will post this in the forum so you can get the link there and all the things. But if you're a little eager, because I know some of you really are, you can DM her and just say, hey, can I get the Lilith sigil plate and the Lilith talisman from you? And I don't know what she's charging, but they're super affordable. They're beautiful. X, Y, and Z. Because we'll be using those for some work. Wait, hold on. I love that apple analogy. Wait. I read that. I did buy some of the Lilith books you suggested, some on Kindle and paperback. Others are on my wish list, and I will get them as the year goes by and work with her on my own until next summer. Beautiful. And there's a lot, wonderfully, there's a lot to read on her, which is great. You can really get yourself down a rabbit hole, which is phenomenal. So is the pay later option still available? Hi, Eli, or Ellie, I think, Ellie will check. I spoke to this at the beginning of this video. I'm working on it. I'm really having some struggles with Klarna, which is the company that we would be using. So I'm hoping that by the end of the week, I'll have, not this week, but the end of next week, I'll have a better handle on what's going to happen with that, because it's becoming a little bit of a challenge to actually connect with this process. A witchy place says, sometimes I wish I didn't bite that apple because deep work comes with knowledge. Absolutely. It can be intimidating and scary. Yes. That's why I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to scare you off, but I want you to come into this process with eyes open. For those of you who haven't done it yet, when you go to the website and you go to to the sales page and the information page for Coven of Lilith, and you click the register now button, you don't go straight to the checkout. You go to like a confidential disclosure agreement page, which gives you a series of statements. And in that, I'm asking you to acknowledge that you're going to be doing a lot of work and that you're going to be responsible for providing yourself with support, because I am not a therapist. And so when things come up, there's only so much support that I'm going to be able to lend you. There is going to be a line at which I may not be able to support you and hold space for you if you get to a place where you're too destabilized. And so that kind of like, it's a gate basically that you need to move through before you pay, because I want you to be aware that you're committing to doing some deep inner work. It's not going to be all fluffy rainbows and unicorns. We'll have some, but it's not all that. You ready? Mandy. Mandy asks, can myself and friend be in the same tent together? I am going to resist answering those questions because there are quite a few of you who are friends who want to be in a group together. So I'm not going to commit to answering that right now. I don't know. Maybe. I may just trust the process and see what happens. So we'll see. I get it. I get wanting to be with your friends because I'd want to be with my friends too. So we'll see. Okay, so Emily posted the link to Laura's Instagram. So right now, Laura prefers to be DM'd on Instagram for these things. And if you're going to be reaching out to her for this, you can simply say, I'd like to buy the Lilith sigil plate and the Lilith talisman. Because one is like a little plate and the other one's like a little talisman thing. I don't want to even guess at how much she's going to be charging for these, but they're super affordable and her work is beautiful. But we'll be working with these for some of the rituals that we'll be doing. Celicia says, I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. I'm doing your School of Holy Witchery too. I look forward to enriching my practice and learning from you. I'm so glad that you're here. You're welcome. Lady Aya says, will you be using blood or pomegranates? We will not be using, okay, so this is like the reveal. Blood doesn't come into the picture until year 2. So for those of you who want to do this work and are feeling like, oh, I don't know that I want to go that deep, we won't be working with blood until year 2. And so when we get to that point where you need to make a decision about whether or not you want to continue, know that we're going to be moving into blood. We're going to be moving into sex magic. We're going to be doing like the deeper, more occultic work. Yeah. We will be working with pomegranates towards the end of this year together. But blood will be part of it for year 2. Like, we're going in. I think I mentioned this to most of you in one of the lives. It's come up before, and I think that it came up in conversation with all of you when we were talking about Lilith at one point when I went to that retreat. Now it's going to be a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I was deeply confronted with my ego, right? Where I went and I had a whole journey and I met with the archetype of the Holy Witch, and she's like, you keep thinking that you're all out and you're open book because you have a witch business and you don't keep things from people, but the magic that I've been teaching all of you has been nothing but safe and clean and non-confrontive. And so I was super confronted with, you're not putting it out there. And so blood is part of it. And that's going to be confronting to a lot of you. So we won't do it until the 2nd year. And by that point, you can make a choice for yourself as to whether or not that's something that you want to get into. There's a lot of power in the blood. And there's a reason for the blood with her. We're going to get into some big magic. So like that. I read that. Beautiful. Emily says, if we already have practices with Lilith, can we continue that, or is it advised that we don't? I asked because I already utilize. You can continue with that. That's totally fine. But also, could it confuse a specific process of the coven? That's a good question. No, it doesn't feel like that. No. With the covens, like the mini covens, I want to call it something different, but right now that's the word that I have. Some of the work that we're going to be focusing on with the mini covens, or the groups of 10, is going to be the mundane work of keeping coven, right? Like, who's going to be the scribe? Who's going to be leading this particular meditation for this time? Who's going to help lead the process? Like, we're going to focus on that kind of mundane thing because I really think it's important to begin to impart that experience of what it means to be a co-creator, a co-leader of a spiritual group like this that does intimate work together. And then, yes, I will be giving, like, here's the script. This is what you're going to be working on for this month. Come up with a way to do this together, and then we ritual work. So if there are those of you in any particular group that has already been working with Lilith, you just bring that much more to the table to share, not as necessarily like the leader teacher, but as a fellow coven member. I don't think that would be disruptive in any way. It would just leave. Oh my God, it would weave. It would just weave into this communal tapestry that we're creating together. Yeah, like that. I use a diabetes poker with, yeah, me too. Like a little lance. Yeah. So much easier and clean too. Yes. Salacia says, I love blood and bones. Me too. She's powerful, yo. She's so powerful. And it's really, I have always felt like a witch. And I have been an active witch, like, in the world for close to 30 years now, which is just, I don't even know. And I have worked with, and I have been really deeply fortunate to be able to work with some amazing goddesses and priestesses in this world. And this magic, this energy stream that she is, I don't want to get into like measurements and say she's the most potent, but she's certainly the most raw. She feels the most raw in a really like earthy, chthonic way. Yeah. It's amazing. I use menstrual blood at the moment. Yeah. I've come to love my bleed and feel very powerful and sacred when it comes. Absolutely. There is something really That's a whole thing. We'll cover that too in year 2. Regardless of where you are in your bleeding and whether or not you have a uterus anymore, because that's a reality as well. That cyclical pace and rhythm stays with you forever. It's part of yourselves. It's part of your making, your physical making. And there is power to ride there as well. For sure. So, oh my God, like that. My voice is starting to go. So that's it. Today is the beginning of the rest of our lives. No, today is the beginning of registration for Coven of Lilith. So I hope that I answered as many questions as possible. Certainly keep emailing them to me. What I'm going to do, because up until now I have not added an FAQ to the Coven of Lilith page. There is an FAQ for Encountering Lilith because I got a lot of questions for that when that first went live. But I'll add the questions that I've gotten, as many as I can remember, on that page as well. Email info@theholywitch.com if you have any more questions about registering, signing up, and all of those things. For those of you who have already signed up, take those questions to the forum because other people probably have the same questions. So when I answer them there, they can benefit from that answer as well. Start creating space in your schedule. So my advice is this. We all are busy. We all have a million things going on at once. Families, jobs, lovers, hobbies, pets, right? Like how many things? Too many things. Extended family, second, third, fourth, fifth jobs. You never know. Start hunting. This is a particular orientation. Start hunting in your life for those things that you can say no to. Those things that you can say, I've been doing this, but you know what? I think I'm going to put it down for a while. Thank you for offering. I know I asked for this thing, but I'm actually going to decline right now. Start hunting for things to let go of because you're going to need space. You're going to need wiggle room. You're going to need what I've been learning, which has been so hard for you. Don't know how hard it has been for me to allow for wiggle room, which means that I've got open spaces so that if I literally just need to sleep because I am worn out, I do that. Or space to have like a full-on like meltdown, breakdown, breakthrough, journal for 4 hours. Like create space for yourself, even if you don't need it right now. Trust me, it'll serve you. It'll support you. If you've got kids that are of that age, start handing out some responsibilities. Like now you get to do this for a while because I'm going to need some time. So hunt, like set that intention. I am hunting for things to put aside, to let go, to just drop for now, so that you can begin to create some spaciousness where you can, even if it's 5 extra minutes in a day. That is my advice. Even maybe if you're not even going to participate in anything related to Lilith, this is probably a really good exercise to do anyway, because there are things that we just don't need to be doing anymore because we need the spaciousness. So like that. Let's see. There is one picture in the homework that I am unable to access. I'll look through it because there are several more that I need to add that I didn't because last night I was adding them last night and I was just so tired that I had to stop. So there'll be more, but I'll look. How would sex magic work for an asexual? That is a great question. There's no way for me to answer all of that now, but it can. It can, even if it's not in the actual sex act itself or in masturbatory practices itself. There is an energetic opening and flow that happens with sex or sex magic that you can access. But that's like, that is a big exploration. So that's like my super short and sweet, probably not enough answer for you right now. We won't actually... We're probably not going to do a lot of, if any, sex magic in the first year, but we will be talking a lot about sex to set the foundational, like, because a lot of our wounding around sex has to do with her and the story. And we all in this world have a ton of sex wounding, for sure. Even if it's just our belief system around sex. Yeah. Okay, so Juanita, I'm gonna look to see what picture, because I don't know, but I will also be adding more images. Emily says, "Oh my gosh, the thought of finding space and saying no feels so exciting and liberating." Oh my god, it's so good. I know. It shows how much I need to do it, for sure. This has been so helpful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad, Emma. You're welcome. Lady Aya says, I have nothing left, so yeah, let's address that sometime. There you go. All right. All right. I love you all. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for all these wonderful questions. Can't wait. Can't wait. So here's what I'm going to say. For those of you who know right now that this is not for you, own that. Be okay with that. The FOMO is just noise. I want you there because I'm greedy, but you'll be there when you need to be there, and that's what it's meant for. So there's that. And if you know you want to do the work, but Lilith isn't it, you've got the School of Holy Witchery as an option. So there's that, which is also beautiful and exciting and juicy, and I'm loving everything that's going on there. So there's that as well. So you have options, but also it's okay to just not anything for now because it's not where you're at. So I want to empower that as well. Don't let the FOMO, the illusion of FOMO, do anything to you because it's just a drain. We don't need it. So you're all really welcome, and I will see you hopefully soon, like that. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful end of spring soon. Spring is ending soon. Hi. That's a whole thing. And I will see you soon. All right, loves. Take care.